Okay, now I'm going to show you how you can create additional accessories that you can sell for your breeds. In this example, I'm just going to make a simple hat. As you can see, he's wearing it now. And what we need to do to make this work is you need to have hidden prims within your objects that you can move and alter and adjust for later applying. So if you hide two prims inside of your object, you can use those two prims to assign that to an accessory of a sort. So if they want to buy a hat and they like this for a while, but they want to buy a new one, they would, they would res out their object that gives the hat, and it would remove the old hat and apply a new hat. Okay, what we're going to do to get this information here is I created the hat and I linked it to the object. So now we have it in the place that we want it to, and from the information card here at the bottom, you'll find the parameters scripts. If you have a simple object, you can use something like the auto param script, or if you have more complex objects, like this here is a 17 prim object with lots of different sides, so it has to record a lot of different sides and textures and all that. Just use the touch param script, which will give you the relevant parameters for creating the methods for this object later. So copy that into your inventory, and you should have it. So drop it into the contents of the breed. Once it's in the contents, you can touch the hat. There's two prims, the brim and then the top of the hat. The brim is the second prim, and it gives you all of the different parameters for that individual object. And then the top of the hat here. So now I have all of the information that's important and which defines these two prims. So I'll go ahead and copy this information here, and I'm going to take it over into the web server. When you first create your pet with your own unique channel and your name, it'll assign it its own species. I already named it dog, so it's going to be called dog, and I created a new animation called hat, and I just copied and pasted all that information into here, and make sure you don't have anything non-related. I don't necessarily need the texture and color, so you can delete it. If you do want to keep it, that's fine too, if you're going to have multiple colors and textured hats. But what's important is the size of the prim, the position of that prim, its current rotation, and the type of prim that it is, such as a cylinder, and these are all of the parameters, such as its cut and the taper, and all that information is stored in here. And you have that for the third prim in the link set and the second prim in the link set. But I did already set that up here, so we have it, and it's called hat. To trigger that, now all we need is a simple action object, and I already created one for this tutorial. It's just a little crate here, I didn't name it, but all you do is you go into your settings script here, make sure you have the same channel as your breed. I got rid of all the hover text, but I changed it so there's instructions for the user to touch your breed to apply the hat. It doesn't need to have any rebuilding or breeding or food. All we need is a simple action class set of methods. In the start event, we're binding a touch event called apply, which is an owner-only touch that will trigger the apply event. Now, when apply is toggled, it will set the animation called hat. That's all you have to do to set the animation, and plus, since we've only defined it, it does not repeat and it does not delay, it's only setting one parameter, not two. It's going to move those prims using the position, rotate it to its current appropriate rotation, and set the size of it as well as the type of prim. So it does all that by just calling set hat, and then I added an extension method called delete, and I built that in over here where when delete is triggered, it'll remove the script and die. It might actually be helpful to for it to die first. Now that I look at that, reason I have removed script as well is because if we have an object that like this, which is allowing me to apply a hat to a specific breed, if I'm wearing it on my hand, I need to be able to remove certain scripts. I don't necessarily need to remove this individual script. What I would want to remove is perhaps the script called action events. So that way we will never have any functionality with this object again. It's a dead object. If I'm wearing it, it won't die. It's just the way people try to get around certain types of permissions, but when this event's called, it will die and remove the inventory called action events, which is here. So going back, we have this all set up so that when the breed is touched, it applies the hat and this object dies. So I could take this into my inventory now, and let's say I want to sell this, but of course I don't want to sell it with the hat on. I want to sell it individually. So let's hide these prims. Let's turn these into boxes and get rid of all of the parameters that made it unique. So we'll change the size back to a tiny little box, and we'll also want to get rid of any of these special parameters that make it unique. And there we have it. We have two little boxes that we can now just hide somewhere in the object's body so that it's not seen, and nor does the user know that it exists. But again, you can use those same two prims to apply all sorts of different hats and other accessories. So now what we do is let's pretend that this object here is the customer's breed, and they went to your store and they purchased the crate. I did notice that Second Life threw me an error, but whatever, it'll get over it. When I touch the object, it'll apply the hat and remove itself, so now the object has a hat, and this hat will continue to grow with it throughout its lifespan. So if the object's halfway through its life and you buy a hat for it, it will resize and position according to the growth and size of the of how many growth stages has already occurred. Whether it's a rebuilt breed or not, it will remember that and it'll apply the hat. So if the breed is twice as big, the hat will be positioned and resized accordingly. However, when you do get the initial parameters for this, make sure you're applying this to the smallest breed, the ones that you're selling, before growth even occurs. And it might be helpful to turn growth off so that you have the time to configure this appropriately. But there you have it. You have a very simple tutorial that shows you exactly how to make a cute little hat for your breed. Now get creative, and you can make as many as you want. The beauty of the prim animations is that you can make an unlimited amount and change them at any time and allow people to set these for their breeds, and even whether they had the breed or not. The most important part, though, always remember, is to hide a couple of extra prims inside the body so that you have later on when you decide to create extra accessories, but you will be limited by the number of prims that you hide, and you make sure that you are using the right prim numbers, because if you use the wrong prim numbers, next thing you know, one of his legs is turned into a hat.